Good evening, free enterprise community. Thank you for joining us tonight for our late night race of the Eblan Elixir League, Moonveil Mixer flavor. We have a great race lined up for you tonight between penguin8r and Judgejoe. I'm Klopper, and I'm joined in the virtual commentary booth by Deathlake. Deathlake, how are you feeling tonight?
Feeling good. I mean, it's late, but I think but a spicy seed will keep you awake. At least of those of us in the eastern part of the U.S. But for the rest of you elsewhere, morning, it could be morning, afternoon, evening. It doesn't really matter. You're gonna be here to enjoy lots of fun, and then starts with our favorite betrayer, Kane.
Favorite sure Kane here, and our few extra objectives here. Looks like we're going to be wanting to go to the moon here with that. So we have our standard 4 objectives there of the Gauntlet, Golbez, Cape Magnus, and Forge, and our 3 random here giving us White Spear Altar, Mazimune Altar, and the Sealed Cave. So with needing 6 out of 7 of those completed to get your hands on Crystal, we will be going to the moon here.
Yeah. It's kind of it's not a good time when you see Sealed Cave on the list, as if you have a black mage handy, warping in and out of after doing dwarf is really nice, but then having to then fight the boss makes you think twice about doing it. But I don't know, stealing the key item might be worth doing just as well. What you have. You still have to do the kind of the walk of shame just to get there. So, but this time you'll be rewarded, but just at least a completion of objective.
Yeah, definitely something I'm sure these 2 runners, very experienced, very, very strong runners, will definitely be keeping that in mind, knowing that the Sealed Cave is an objective there. So maybe if the getting access to warp isn't so easy for them by the time they're heading into the Dwarf Castle, though not worry too much, we'll take advantage of that warp glitch. Kane throws a start, so it's also worth noting here with our Sea Hero flag, we have Kane, who will be keeping the Betrayer here. He's also our agility anchor. Kane gets pretty fast, so this can definitely make things interesting, depending on exactly which bosses we're running into.
I think, addressing the issue, you could cripple him if you find a Drain Spear early with, you don't have to go for Cursed Ring. Drain Spear can fulfill that same objective, but that's not really, it's kind of difficult. I think you could kind of manage to some degree, and but probably having the option available when you need it is probably the best tactic to have. You want your options there just in case you actually need it, and then when you do need it, you have it, just to play it. But in that case, and even in that case, you still could probably have to use Kane for bulk of the fights anyway. So it's one of those, you kind of have to think about it, and especially when you're doing a moon dive, that do you have the tools to ensure that your agility anchoring situation is set?
Definitely very useful. Kane has access to so many different weapons, so you can take advantage of both those slowing ones and speed up. And Kane here being joined by Rosa, definitely happy to see a white mage in our party. And our first key item here, the tower key. Something we can't immediately make use of, but once you get down into the underground, makes visiting that tower look much more appealing, giving you those 2 key item checks.
But I like Keyless Tower. It's where all the good stuff's at.
You're right. The bear just faded now at this point. With it's not keyless, why go?
I actually prefer to do. I prefer to do kind of the lower, just the keyless tower with or without the key. It's just, but depends, on how things are working. When you have the key, it's even better. When you don't, it's kind of spicy when you decide when to do it. That's always the fun part. Both runners are deciding. I like this place to loot, because even though we have items capped to tier 5, but we still find a charm rod, which is a tier 5 item, so that is a really good start, but kind of need a black mage to take advantage of that.
Yeah, we did also find a samurai bow there, a very nice bow there, so potentially Rosa will actually be the one doing damage here unless we can find something for Kane to put on, but Kane luckily does have access to a lot of different weapon types, so we just need to find, I don't know, something like a Gungnir spear maybe.
Another tier 5 expensive item has 92 attack power, and I would call it 92% of Kane's effectiveness anyways. That's because really, the next technically the next spear in terms of attack power up is a Dragoon Spear. That's a tier 7 item. The thing is it's only 100. It's only 99 attack power. So from a damage standpoint, it's not a big deal. Dwarf Axe being really handy, get the back row glitch in, but more importantly, it's especially in this flag set, the earliest tool to kind of neutralize Kane's agility. So just for the flag set alone, Kane already has at least the basic tool of contributing and slowing down a little bit.
Yep, definitely. Although it looks like penguin8r at least setting up to do damage here with just turning on that back row glitch, and we find Tella waiting for us up here on Mount Hobbs. Both runners trying to pick up the Tella and running into play to get through here. Good news is we do have that spear, we do have the bow, we have extra ways to take on these flying enemies.
Yep. Most of the time it's getting Kane berserked, and because Rosa berserks Kane immediately after finishing the jump, then this is the perfect time to get berserk applied, as that's the trick of applying weapon-based statuses. It's unique. You just as long as the ATB's emptied, the chances of success is effectively 100% unless the hit misses, which is still possible.
Which, by going ahead and taking advantage of putting a bow in Rosa and activating the back row glitch on her, increases that chance of her being able to connect there, even with the back row. penguin8r taking advantage, it looks like, of Tella, going to loop the back here and use the exit he's just gotten access to. Judgejoe driving just the close chest and heading on over, it looks like, to Antlion Cave.
I mean, with Tella and exit access, this makes this decision much easier to kind of deal with, as many runners try to have exit available, and I think that's an unfortunate crush by penguin8r. I think did have a save, but has to do the fight again. Hopefully not. This won't hamper the race too much for penguin8r.
Yeah. Does look like it was the save just as of Hobbs going back in to take on this fight again. Judgejoe is head on into the Antlion Cave and finding, looks like the guards are the guards fight.
Baron Guard's not too threatening at this spot. Antlion's but pretty low HP, low threat. It's a nice fight. But unfortunately, this is also a free fight, so but it can be tricky as long as you don't directly punch it or cast magic. You will get a counter. So Judgejoe just saying, hey, Kane can do everything, at least for now.
And only awarded a life staff though, but a very good piece of gear, and with access to the exit spell, it looks like Judgejoe is willing to go ahead and keep that and not take the reset. And yeah, that can definitely get your healing turned on if necessary.
When you have the life staff and combined, if a hero robe shows up, we'll keep Rosa at the kind of the same statistical pace of white magic power, but it's still, that becomes blazingly fast. So there is value to having a life staff. Worst case scenario, you make Tella look like a foo for a brief moment. So there's not much as we don't think too much of Tella's spell power, but doesn't take a big stat stick to make Tella look a little bit better than you normally. And hey, that item we've talked about, Curse Ring, that's on the table and free to get ready to use.
Yep, Judgejoe certainly happy to have that. With between the Dwarf Axe we've already mentioned and that Curse Ring, that's minus 20 agility. He can at any point he wants to throw into his cane, and tackling here the Evil Wall in the first spot of the Baron Inn. And this penguin8r is taking on the Antlion Cave to the guards himself.
Nice and free, especially at this spot. Combined guard HP's like 400, a little bit over 400. So this is pretty straightforward. Hoping this is elements. It's elements. So, but that also kind of neutralizes Kane's benefit a little bit in the sense that until Val shows up, Kane will always be doing half damage. The being elements means absorbing everything or resisting everything except for the elemental weakness, and this includes wind. Weak by arrows. Spears are effective against that, but this is not the time to have it. So we're going through. Judgejoe is going through the complete elements set, and Val will show up and can actually do some actual work for the last hit. But it's still going. It's going swell.
Definitely taking advantage of that berserk again from the power staff there from Rosa to get Cane swinging real fast there. And this spot can have very low agility, which it looked like there. And so Judgejoe will make quick work of this location and gets rewarded a Sand Rupee, which I don't believe we've had a peek at that character. Penguin8r on the other side, though, has given us our first Divergent as taking on the Fabul defense and finding us our D-Mist. So a double rewards here.
I've at least rolled a seed for myself where D-Mist did hold the gated to the underground. So D-Mist can be a little bit spicy, at least this early. Not the spot not that threatening, but just the D-Mist can alter plans a little bit. So it's usually worth best collecting the item after the fight, but sometimes it gets delayed because of routing choices and whatnot. So forgetting a D-Mist has happened to a runner every so often.
Without a doubt, I think we've all experienced that. Judgejoe finding, it looks like another white mage here in the bed in Kaipo.
I think we're starting to accumulate quite a bit of mages. I think, but the bigger problem is we've been able to accumulate the two slowest characters, both Sid and Tella. So, I think for at least for team construction, we may probably have to yeet one or both at some point just to get the agility up. I think Sid typically is the popular option because outside of the tank of HP, there's just his value kind of hits a cliff once you hit his best, get his best gear. Even if it's a bow and arrow, you might, it still kind of gets slow, and you also need the Artemis to roll, which is not exactly something you just randomly get.
Yeah. And welcome Raiders from RPG Limit Break. We're just under 10 minutes into this race between Penguin8r and Judgejoe. Just as a reminder, as always, no spoilers for the previous race that was going on RPG Limit Break. But do hope you enjoy this one. You are in for a treat, I hope. And Penguin8r here, not forgetting to check on his D-Mist, but also we do have 2 boss hunts here, so go ahead and using this opportunity to check Cave Mist for one of our possible bosses.
Well, no worries there. No blarg to worry about. Not required. Not needed. And don't even want to figure out the surprise that comes with it. Though if this is a package, Penguin8r might be doing himself a disservice, but you will see. There's always that chance that you come from the wrong side. But hey, nice. Speaking of the key item, that D-Mist hides, because D-Mist can spice up a seed. So Penguin8r being the first, just from deviating, gets this underground access immediately, and kind of probably pause a minute just to think of what did I just pick up? Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of spaces have just opened up for Penguin8r, so almost certainly having to decide where he wants to go next. I don't think we actually covered this, but the Fabul defense itself awarded the hook. So at first it might have looked like this was going to be a potential hook route, but quickly Penguin8r is given the information. No, we do have magma key access to the underground. In fact, we have all the underground. Thank you, Steph Lively, our tracker.
It's not a day to decide to fade Fabul because to get better underground access. But I mean, yeah, you could go through the hook route, get underground, but that's a lot of time. You have to fight through 2 guaranteed boss battles, not directly back to back, but you have kind of an intermission in between. As once you've fought the first one, you can get out of that fight and move on, go back to the save point, save, and then continue on if you need that buffer, just in case you don't want to repeat that first fight. So there's always, but that the time saved by not doing the hook route is a blessing. But I think both our runners will definitely at least peek to see who the character is at that spot, even though.
Yeah, without a doubt, seeing which that character is there, as well as going ahead and getting your shopping done in the Eblan Cave itself, are both things that are very nice to do. So even if you're not going to commit yourself to the hook route, peeking in there for a few things, as well as maybe a boss check, as both the Alt Gauntlet and Golbez are still looming large here, even after Judgejoe showed us 2 spots up here on Mount Ordeals, the Dolls and Octomam, which he had no issue getting through the 2 of those, and will now be taking on Kane's solo Christopher.
So Penguin8r's fight is a little different. Trying to proc the Power Staff Berserk on Kane, but not unsuccessful, and Kane kind of doing more jumps, which is jump does deal double damage. Berserk Kane is a lot more proactive and hits things more often with a 50% damage boost. Judgejoe might be in for either Water Hag or Alt Gauntlet. It looks like Water Hag because no delay.
Yeah.
No. I didn't see the delay. It's hard to sometimes on stream you're missing that delay because you know it's there when you see it. So.
And a quick look through his inventory to find out if he has anything to help take on this fight quickly. And no, it looks like we're just going to be punching everything. This is a lot of bodies and a lot of fights to get through. I also believe Judgejoe didn't do any save after the 2 fights here, so if he was looking to reset, maybe find something to help him get through this fight a bit faster, he'd have to retake the 2 fights on Mount.
It's not one of the moments where sometimes you wish you had more J items, or even a spear with some spells on it, like a flame spear or even a blizzard spear. It would speed up this fight immensely. But having, I guess, no offensive J items to speak of that would be worth using. This is going to be a slog, and understandably so, especially with. It's Kane solo. I mean, your options are very limited, and this is the first fight, so this is going to be a slug no matter what. Just to get Tala online, there's just, even if you get higher level Kane, faster Kane with stronger weapon, it's still like a one-on-one. It might be less damage taken and all that, but you can't really go that fast, especially at and both runners will be having the same problem. So it's not so have fun, both of you. Both the runners will have it.
Definitely Penguin8r, though, having access to the underground might be putting off doing Mount Ordeals until later. If anything, just maybe doing some shopping first, looking around in the underground, looking around in that hook route, and having access to a lot more locations, and maybe get his hands on some of those J items, or maybe some alternate spears, as we were discussing, which could help a lot. But even with all those things, this fight's always just a slog for solo Kane.
One of the things I kind of like doing, just not everyone does it, would be kind of having like a Blizzard Spear Ice Brand for just a Ruby fight. And we've seen elements, but not single Ruby, and at least I think so. And the thing of it is that the part of it, there are 2 parts to it. One is obviously having a weapon that just kind of annihilates Ruby. But the second thing is to have, specifically the Blizzard Spear, to have a weapon that does, some magic. And there are some fights that have been known to run on all gauntlets where you have like all fighters, but no J items, no spells, no offensive spells to speak of. It becomes like a highly valued thing. It's surprising. It's what makes Stardust Rod so popular in the beginning.
Yeah, getting access to that AoE. There's multiple boss fights. We've seen a few of them already that do have multiple bodies, and just having, again, access to AoE either through J items like Zeus Rages, Guide Drums, what have you, or that Blizzard Spear can help you get through those fights so much faster. Again, having access to one of those for even the Dolls fight, the first one we saw on the way up here on Ordeals, would be huge. Divergence is continuing here. Penguin8r is indeed interested on following up on what's in Eblan Cave here. You see him first checking into the item shop and finding Elixirs and Leviathan as his tier 5 items. Probably not the ones he was hoping to see.
I mean, you change your mind if you see a Rydia at the end of it, and then it's like, oh, I'm coming back to buy stuff. But I think the secondary thing to do though is really to loot at least the back up. This basically the section the penguin8r is now traversing is the kind of the beefiest part of your looting. If you loot anything any location, it's that section alone. That's where all your money's coming from. And I think there was a brief moment of do I want Yang? And I guess this might be this perfect replacement for Sid, as Sid, they do the same thing, but Yang at least gains at least more strength, but you'll still have to gain the levels before this attack power is realized. So you're trading one problem for another, but I think it's a kind of a long-term upgrade. If although we'll see if this is even a consideration for penguin8r.
Yeah. Very well could be penguin8r's looking at those two moon altar objectives and going, this very well could be a long seed. Let's go ahead and get a party member who's going to do good in the long term. And Young definitely pays off more as the longer the seed goes on and the more experience he gets, compared to Sid, who really does start to struggle as he gets those high levels and those agility discrepancies really start showing up.
Yeah, especially with Kain as the anchor, the kind of the anchoring situation makes turns from slower characters that who grow the least amount of agility. They might it could be such that Kain has like twice the agility. It's probably not that. It's not usually twice. It's more like 75% of the agility of Kain. It's more like probably 2/3. And you start losing kind of like turns, like especially if the agility was really low, like if say Curse Ring Tella, just as an example, then you basically they're just not in combat at that point. And those are kind of turns that you actually need, especially if you want them as a even just a potion thrower. If they don't get their turn, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, definitely. Like whatever they're you're hoping to get from them, if they're not getting sufficient number of turns and they can be again half the speed of your anchor, really is going to hurt you. Even zerking up so everyone's getting their turns as fast as possible, it's going to be noticeable. Judgejoe has gone into Eblan Castle here, trying to go ahead and find some more loot, so getting looting done through those standard chests, and is actually going ahead and tackling the actual trap chest here with that full Tella spell list. Ooh, and is extremely well rewarded there with an adamant armor.
That's like the golden armor. It's problem. Considering this party, I don't think you want to put it on Kain, but I think right now though. Okay, Judgejoe is trying to say otherwise, but I think for now, Kain is going to do the most damage. At some point, the adamant armor will have to come off because you will have other characters struggling to get their turns in at some point. This is not quite now. I mean, we're talking about like towards the mid to end game where this is going to be a problem. So I think the next best character as in terms of the party composition, it's probably going to be Rosa or even Porum. Probably going to keep Rosa, as you want a white mage to take hits and still live towards the end of the battle and have an opportunity to do some other things while bosses are had.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's definitely kind of a thought of your agility anchoring situation is high agility in this early game can be quite good because you are so much significantly faster than these bosses that even if it is only your Kain who's getting all those turns, you can way outspeed them and get through it. But you're right, as you get into that end game where bosses are very fast and you would slow down your entire party to only make your anchor characters fast, really isn't going to be the power trade-off you want. Judgejoe has run out of locations to check though, and so has come to Chocobo Castle here and will be awarded his hook, and he has beat the Demus, so hopefully we'll not forget to go ahead and check that, and we'll also find out he doesn't not need to do that hook route if he does not want to.
Did change the battle speed, probably forgot from after doing raiding Eblan Castle, as the fights can get out of hand. They're usually a lot of the monsters are typically faster than your characters, at least at the level that Judgejoe was at the time. So it was just more of a safety measure, and realized oh yeah, that's right, I've got to turn it off. So making the right choice. Just sometimes you freak. Keep that battle speed at a lower level intentionally. actually forget it over time. It happens.
Very easy to do, and every time you get into a fight and you just feel it and go, oh right, I need to fix that, and then continue to forget. Penguin8r here into the Feymarch and checking the freebie here, finding us a Baron key, as well as checking out the item shop and getting his hands on Sirens, which he picks up a pretty big stack of here. And we'll finally get our last little bit of new information here on which bosses are waiting for us in the Feymarch.
Hey, you know it's vanilla when Dathis has rolled the seed. You see it right then and there. There's no hiding. Yeah. So that's a known spot. So at least nothing special. But goes with another mage. And don't you want a mute knife or a root axe right about now? That's what the sea is screaming for.
Yeah, so there's Mage Central waiting for us in the Feymarch, and yeah, definitely getting access to some mage killing gear would help a lot for getting through that quickly.
I actually don't. That spot isn't as difficult as it looks, though. The Magus Sisters normally would be more threatening on the Azura side. There's just more bulk, and Leviathan not having that much of a spell power. It's not the same threat. It's just a longer fight to deal with.
Yeah, a decent amount of HP get through, and I do imagine you'll see strong punches coming out from that spot at the Leviathan one. But you're right, far less scary magic power, which can help it.
I think the grind is now. We'll probably just get a few levels on our characters just to fight Dwarf, trying to see what the character is, and we'll maybe take the character. We'll probably not swap out Tella until after finishing both boss fights, but we'll probably may consider yeeting Tella, for whatever the character is. If it were a Cecil or a Fu. So there's still plenty of options on the table if a character shows up. Penguin8r finding the other guard vow, the Kaipo guards, I believe.
Yes, actually the officer-soldier fight there, as we did see guards in Antlion Cave. And yeah, it looks like that one Siren, that gives you that first really big boost of experience, especially as Penguin8r did not do Eblan Castle like Judgejoe, and thus get access to that experience from taking on the trap chests. Thus also missing, of course, that admin armor we know Judgejoe found.
That was an interesting purchase from Judgejoe. We have not seen a ninja, but has bought a pair of ninja blades and then picked up a third one. The seed has jokes. It foresaw purchases that for a character hasn't yet shown up, and pick up the item that you spent the money on. That's I've had those seeds before.
Judgejoe's just willing Edge into the seed. You pick up those ninja swords, then you just go, well, I have them now, so Edge has to show up at this point, right?
Maybe.
It's a thought.
I mean, Edge could be in the seed, but could be behind Giant. But that would be the worst. That would be the worst time that would happen. And characters you wish to exist are in the worst of places, but also could not also show up altogether. So that's, the seed knows what you're looking for and then denies you. It's that.
Maybe Judgejoe then doesn't want to see Edge, and thus is forcing Edge out of the sea by double buying ninja swords. Ooh, interesting find here on Penguin8r. We do have our gold bez waiting in the second location here at Dwarf Castle. Again, thank you to our restreamer, Dathis.
Is this even? But that's a nice pickup. Interesting. I think Penguin did pick up the Yang temporarily, right? So I guess given the situation, maybe converting it into a more of a mage run instead. Which given that we have a Tella, a D machine grind looks to be a popular thing on the table. It might be a thing, and it makes sense to do at this point. So I don't mind.
Penguin8r, does have 2 key item checks just about to come up here, getting the Dwarf Castle one itself and taking advantage of the warp glitch to go ahead and check what would be in the sealed cave. And seeing Vanilla Golbez here, potentially he's just thinking, well, maybe sealed cave has that darkness.
Oh, that's right. We do need darkness. That's like wait, D machine grunt. Wait, we missing something. Yeah.
There's a few. We have definitely one key ingredient here in the Tella, but one more thing is necessary. Judgejoe heading straight on into Dwarf Castle here on his trip underground, not checking out St. Fade March first, but with that access to the adamant armor, likely feeling definitely has the power in hand to take out this location.
So, the only real difference between penguin8r and Judgejoe is penguin8r finding magma key way before Judgejoe, but Judgejoe having completed Mount Ordeals. I think that's there might be a little bit more than that, but that's the difference that I could recall off the top of my head. And so I think at penguin8r, if you're looking at penguin8r, you might be thinking, if I can find another character just to replace Tella outright, because right now Tella has not powered up, have not made up to our deals to get him online, and knowing that we know that there's a alt gauntlet, there's it's kind of it's interesting what penguin8r will do with the Tella that he has on hand, outside of reviving him and using him for the warp glitch at the very minimum.
Step Lively very correctly calling out, as penguin8r has not done ordeals yet, Tella doesn't have warp.
Oh wow, that's the thing about routing. It just sometimes does not work out. And Judgejoe's thinking, briefly thinking, do I want to get really up to it? No, it's the Sid, because Sid, as I said, Sid is unfortunately the first choice, because usefulness might not be there towards the end. So especially with Kain, again, Kain is the hero, dictates a lot of those kinds of decisions.
Yeah, definitely. As well as, just that speed disparity, and so potentially preferring also his mage party. And Judgejoe will have access to the work glitch, so we'll be able to show us one more key item here. Also, admin armor showing, again, just the immense power it provides here on also letting Kain avoid being paralyzed.
Judgejoe might have a significant advantage if there's something actually behind the sealed cave in the back room, essentially. So considering that penguin8r did not have his Tella online with warp ready, that is it's and especially with that late Palom's like, oh, that's a save me. No, Palom learns warp at like level 29. It started keeping track of that. Like it's to the point where wait, that's not enough XP. That's the moment. It's like, he was way too late in. So penguin8r is kind of briefly thinking about the next moves as it's like nuts. I don't have the but the Baron key in hand. This is definitely the next choice, and try to find more key items, but also find another replacement. At this point, maybe the best replacement left is Fu, and also the seed. We can have duplicate characters, so that is also on the table.
Yeah, definitely. So penguin8r considering following up on this Baron key. They do know they have that ordeals open, but there's also one of those thoughts of it's been open. I've put it off this long. Do you just make the call to keep fading something this big? So Judgejoe getting his Bacchus wine for finishing the Dwarf Castle. But able to show us what warp glitch is providing us here. And is it a big hit? Again, reminder, Dathis rolled this. So we see a lot of vanilla. This is why. We have our darkness for sword hand.
D machine grind online. That's what it says. I think Judgejoe knows exactly what to do with that. So this is unless there's somewhere to go. Although there's some shopping to do, because you want to have your D machine grinds to be safe. I often find is big time, though. So you want to find some probably supply of ethers, and so that as you will need to replenish the supply of MP that Tella will be going through.
definitely, as you're looking to take on, if you're getting up to nuke levels, that can be quite a few deep machines, even with the life glitch enabled, and just the MP pool Tele has is not enough to do enough weak casts. We do have an elixir we start with, but that's probably not enough. So yeah, having access to Ether 1s, Ether 2s, well, or if we could buy more elixirs, we do know where those are for sale, but yeah, finding access to those. Make sure you also have enough life potions as you want to take advantage of that life glitch. But yeah, that gives you all the experience you need on this extremely mage-heavy party to just get you up to those nuke and or white holy levels and give you the power you need to take on what we do know is at least 2 moon bosses as part of our objective set. Now, the good thing for penguin8r is, as we do know, since Sealed Cave is an objective, penguin8r will likely want to take on this location quickly once he does find wherever that Lucky Key is, potentially here in Baron Castle, to get access to that Darkness Crystal.
Yeah, it's just skipping off logic to be had with the warp glitch as Sealed Cave's objective, so chances are penguin8r will eventually have to stumble onto whatever means to get to normally, as you know, darkness gates the moon, so it has to be somewhere on the overworld, it has to be through within chain, and I see more vanilla. Can you spot the turtle?
And more vanilla indeed. Is this even random? Indeed. Judgejoe, go ahead and check on the marked bosses here with his hands on that admin armor. We'll have to see if he chooses differently than penguin8r and chooses to take on some of these locations. Those, what are considered pretty heavy punches aren't so bad when you have all that the defenses and admin armor provides, and importantly, as we just saw him put on, that mute knife or the mage killing gear.
Doesn't have any other mage killing gear, mute arrows, elven bow, not on the table, so it looks like Kane will do work, and with Judgejoe's Kane online, we'll be using Wall to start off all the free healing that Azure will provide at that point. This, with the normally, you have an all mage party, the only, and we still haven't found Val yet, but since Kane is the hero, Kane is the answer to all Val problems. So, and look, we found the answer to replace Tella. Old man goes away.
Better Tella.
But yes, better Tella, but with more hair. A lot more hair. There's something.
Maybe some correlation. Maybe.
I don't know. If you've seen all the Lunarians, Cecil, Fu, Golbez, their hair is amazing. At least that. So I mean, there is something about the moon, the lunar that has ample control of the hair. There is no logical reason for it, but there's something that we need to find on the moon.
A good find here from penguin8r out of the trash can there in Baron Inn is the Twin Harp, which providing access to another key item, but importantly for penguin8r, an objective. And so immediately is going to go follow up on that, which is great for us, as that means some music.
I'm a little surprised that there wasn't a thought to just going checking the Baron basement, see if the boss is free or if that has another key item that is required for the seed. So obviously, the main meme for free enterprise is to check your objectives, and then chances are there'll be a chain where doing one gets you to the other immediately, and sometimes that's a great recipe for a jet seed. And sometimes it's not, but it is nice when things go together and things chain in such a nice way.
Yeah, and so penguin8r definitely hoping to see that chain here does exist, and this Twin Harp provides not only objective number 3 completed for him, but chaining into something else you might want to get done. Maybe the Luca key would work out quite well for him.
Judgejoe having not too much of a problem. Kane doing a lot of work, and are not definitely doing work as those multipliers make that mutant knife even more sweeter, do sweeter damage on Judgejoe, and already learned Quake on that first fight. So that is the best way of getting Quake Kid online.
Yeah, doing so while also getting a key item check done. You know, 1 adamant armor is pretty good. 2 adamant armors, that's a lot of power.
Giving it to this is the decision. Who you want to have it? Do you want it on your white mage to survive, or do you want Quake Kid to do even more work? But we're about to reach that point where we need to take a 5 and listen to DJ Spoony B do his thing.
I know I'm looking forward to this, and I hope everyone here is as well. Enjoy the tunes. And a excellent rendition there of Undertale. And our reward is just a siren, though. So, fortunately, just the objective here for taking this on for penguin8r.
Yeah, that's I think Judgejoe was having trouble with the stream, kind of delayed it. We'll try to reconnect, try to get him back on stream. penguin8r, I think knows. I think this. I probably will have to check Baron Basement. There's still Keyless Tower and kind of Panless Yang for Sheila 1. So those are 2 options on the table to consider as a. That's.
Oh, we did actually start with the tower key, so we can back to the full tower if we're interested in that. So well as it might be weighing in penguin8r of what is up or deals. Do I need to check that out? But with Tella now out of his party, replaced here by the Foo, it does look less appealing. He isn't going to get a power spike to his party for getting it done. It would just be for that boss checks and a key item check.
Well, there was no key item. I don't think there was a key item on Ordeal. So this is not the worst thing, but you have to consider that Judgejoe did take quite a bit of time, but no, penguin8r has decided now is the time. Probably has probably a bit more in terms of J items at this point compared to Judgejoe. I mean, this is I think this was like 20 minutes ago where the Ordeal fight was. So I mean, there's but yeah, they still have to peak. I mean, there's and that's the only place where you mean 3 boss fights, so there's still fair chance of the football gold, and we know it's up there. So penguin8r kind of on the same wavelength as Judgejoe, just going up the mountain, because we need just to peek what's there, and still probably also a good place to find a key item, but we know it's not, and stumble onto the football gaunt, which we know that is definitely what's at the end.
Yeah, and it definitely will be interesting to see if penguin8r either does have access to enough J items to get through that, or just the level difference does get him through significantly faster or not. Just getting potentially 2 or 3 turns on Kane for every round that the enemy's getting to swing could really help him clear that out faster, even if it is just attacking.
Suddenly orbs. I think that's the top of
Tower key.
I think it's the top of tower. Oh, tower key. So this is technically a one shot, easy shot away. It's nice when you don't have to fight them when they have a lot of HP. A CPU fight, one of the long drag out fights at high HP spots, and when I think I rolled a seed where CPU was at elements. that was ugly time. But it was actually, I did make it go quicker than normal, because I think I did the float quake trick. It's a lot of fun. Those are fun times when you can get that trick going.
Definitely, CPU can be usually a safe fight. If you have access to any amount of healing, you will get through that fight. But yeah, at really high HP locations can just be a slog sometimes. Just having to only be hitting that back CPU, especially if you didn't get to back row glitch some of your characters, can be very painful. So I'm sure Judgejoe happy to see it in the very low HP Super Cannon room. Judgejoe happy though take on the full tower win here and showing us Karate at the top.
No, we don't have a Cecil to speed up the fight, but given the spot is really just not too punchy of a spot, and also there's no magic at this spot, so pretty straightforward. Just I'm not sure if Yang will one punch people, at least some of the front row characters, to death. There's Telelife, so there's some things that are givens in a seed.
Yeah, definitely not the scariest spot given its offensive power, but it does have quite a bit of HP for this part of the game. So fortunately though for Judgejoe, those quakes hitting for 3k, and Kane still with that admin armor, also in for 2k, so being able to put out a lot of damage will even get through this spot quite quickly.
I mean, the Dr. Luga's spot is there's essentially four bosses. The first part has essentially 3 boss components, one you don't always see, then that is added to the pool of HP. So don't you think we don't usually fight it. It doesn't count. No, it's part of that pool. And it's what makes this kind of unusually large pool, but it's not a threatening pool. So this is usually a nice reprieve, a free, even if it's a keyless tower, the boss isn't a threat. But hey, we got one of the best weapons for Kane. Although of course we have Sea Hero on Super Smith has a chance at getting Abel's Lance, which would make your T machine grind free.
Definitely. So, but still, Dragoon Ants, nice to see at least an upgrade here for Arcane, who is doing big chunk for damage, as well as if you want to even just be grinding eggs here, make some omelets for your grind very fast. We did have Step Lively note in chat though that from the Mega Sisters, we didn't see on stream what they awarded, but Judgejoe's tracker did not show any new key item, so we do believe there was no key item awarded from the Mega Sisters. As same as we just saw there, top tower just giving us a Dragoon Spear, and we'll find out here if the tower key, the Super Cannon room check, is going to give us some progression.
I mean, this is the only time where Fade March might actually apply. I mean, yes, there was an adamant armor from the Azure spot, but if there was no key item, you could have literally faded this and not. And I mean, but the bosses are too difficult, so you're more tempted to do it. And this is now we know where the Luca key is. So this is clearly. So penguin8r will definitely stumble onto it once deciding that not keyless tower, it's key full tower, full of key tower. Is the play a fairly logical place to go, especially having the starting key item being the tower key. That it's one of those. Of course I'll do the tower soon.
Definitely should be an appealing place for penguin8r to go, given that tower key. It does have access to, as you noted earlier, though, did skip by that barren basement, so that might be something that he is still considering to go tackle. As well as, I don't believe either of our runners have checked Sheila 1.
I think without the pin, most runners are tempted to skip that, but we know that the darkness found through the warp glitch, that is it makes the kind of the check kind of less than necessary. You kind of, if like many runners, if they get like a starting magma key, then a quick Sheila 1 check is kind of in the cards. You're just gonna come, on your way up. You're gonna visit Yang, just talk to him, and then go visit Sheila, and then do Fabul while you're at it. That's usually the common play. It's when you do it later, it's just not as appealing. Just isn't.
Definitely when you have access to so many other checks as Darkness Crystal in hand does provide you, seeing if you can wait until you get that and to really only give yourself one walk through the Seal Cave. But penguin8r is interested on checking out what is here in the Barren Basement Throne and finding Mom Bomb as his boss.
The punches
looking like he will take it on.
The punches are the threat, but you have to consider that Mom Bomb is diluting the spot because the smaller bombs will eat into her HP. So that's the kind of benefit. You still have to deal additional almost 10,000 damage just to prevent the actual exploding part. So and you get plenty of time, especially with Nuke available. But seeing the Ruby on Judgejoe's side being a nasty jerk because the spot doesn't actually need the spell power it is provided, as the only skill that Evil Wall normally has doesn't even care about the accuracy stat. That spell power that it hurts. And you can see that the characters with the adamant armor obviously it's a tickle, and that's all we're relying for the fight.
Definitely a much tougher fight if you do not have the power that adamant armor provides. But even that glare being cast here on Kane did 1 point of damage, same here as we saw just cast on Pelham. Judgejoe has no issue taking on this spot. And penguin8r also no issue getting through Mom Bomb here in the basement and getting a rat tail, which is a chain. Fortunately, he does have the hook to follow up on that immediately.
They're certainly worth checking. I mean, when you find the rat tail and you have the hook, you just want to convert it as soon as possible. Pink tail is nice when you get it, but you're not waiting for pink tail to show up. And Joe has tickled Rubicon's fancy as triggering the low HP death scene, which is quite nice, but kind of slows down as an instant death would have been preferred at that spot, ironically.
Definitely save a little bit of time there getting past the text boxes. Judgejoe going to take. So used Warp to sneak out the Darkness Crystal, and we'll use Warp here to also get out the Seal Cave a little faster. Well, penguin8r is going to immediately follow up on this rat tail, see what he has waiting for him.
Just for reference, Glare is fire elemental, just lit, because Ruby is a fire elemental. That is, I mean, that's the only reason why Adamant pretty much is just is dominating piece of armor, and this is why usually it's normally not enabled in most leagues, but we had the Adamant Cup, so why not again?
Definitely adds a lot of interest to a seed when you can find that adamant armor, just the way it changes the way you can tackle boss locations, as we definitely seen Judgejoe able to just take on high level locations even without having done much of any grind. Adamant armor, very big deal. penguin8r has turned in the rat tail and just awarded Artemis arrows, unfortunately, so not leading him to a new progression, which could be fortunate, I suppose, as now he's running out of places to go, and we see him parking outside of towers, so he will shortly have that Luca key in hand, and will likely be going down to pick up his own Darkness Crystal, although without any adamant armors in hand. So that Ruby fight might prove a little more challenging.
Yeah. So, some of you may be thinking, so why not check Chilo 1? Why go to the tower? Well, from a routing perspective, you have two key items and 2 boss spots. Now, obviously, the boss have been cleared out for a requirement, so no problems there. But it's the key item spots where to try to pick up a key item which is driving the decision. So, it is kind of a cheeky check to do Sheila 1. Well, but I think Judgejoe has visited Sheila and might actually be eating the pan because the seed is filled with vanilla, and if it doesn't end with a pan, I'll be disappointed.
And some disappointment there as we get just a silent staff here from Sheila 1. But Judgejoe was, well, I've done most everything I have access to in the underground. Let's go and do the last thing I have to do down there that I can have access to right now before we leave there. So just, checking all these boxes before heading on out. Although now at this point, Judgejoe does have both the Darkness Crystal and that Baron Key in hand. So it'll be interesting to see which of those he chooses to follow up on. Especially given the objectives on it.
I don't remember. Where do we get harp from? That's the thing to
That
Judgejoe.
is the trash can in Baron's house. So doing that is very valuable. Judgejoe, though, again, as you kind of mentioned earlier in Seed, doing your objectives is kind of a mantra. If you can do them, great. They make you the key items you need, and you're checking off your objectives at the same time. So Judgejoe will go ahead and follow up on this Darkness Crystal, launching the Lunar Whale, looking to take on likely that White Spear Altar and Mesamune. Or alternatively, just needed a second to think. And this launching the Lunar Whale cutscene is a great opportunity to do that. You need that breather after your first 51 hour in the Seed. Just figure out what you're going to do. Go ahead and launch your Lunar Whale.
I think so we know where harp is, but Judgejoe doesn't know that. So we know with the altars, obviously we'll have to go, but this might require a full clear. Because if the adamant and legend sword doesn't magically appear as like the ribbon room, there might there will be problems. There'll be more searching to go, and there are plenty of other interlocking. There's still two key items left at large that are part of change. Pan obviously being one, but also the Earth Crystal. So. And those are the only ones left on the table. Now, Judgejoe, there's obviously more for Judgejoe, as doesn't know what the rat tail is. We know that's the bottom of Baron. So right now, Judgejoe is probably gonna have to do more, closer to a full clear than Penguin8r. Penguin8r doesn't have to do the same work. We still have to look for Forge, but again, unless Forge is somehow in the ribbon room, which could happen, would rare, but could actually happen. There'll be some scrambling to find some key items.
Definitely. Although, even doing a full clear here could very well provide Judgejoe all the experience he needs to take on the Zeromus fight, because he very well might have his endgame party here, as he did just pick up Cecil. And so kicking out Tella here and having a party he maybe is more comfortable with for taking all the way to the endgame.
Well, it's the anchoring situation. Tella is not Tella. We have both white mages, so Tella becomes second fiddle. I mean, you also have a Palom, so at some point, Palom's already kind of superseded Tella in terms of black magic offense, and you don't need the power of warp anymore. So Tella is very expendable at that point. So Judgejoe hasn't visited Baron to stumble onto the Fu, so it makes sense to kind of the decision making, and looks like Joe is going to try to hope for a trap chest spawn for some levels.
For sure. Judgejoe is definitely heading down to the bottom here. We could see a trap chest. You can also just go ahead and take a look at what's inside the. Oh, I see. Or maybe just interested in what's getting some more loot here, because he, I suppose, doesn't have anything for Cecil at this point. So maybe just trying to spike out a Holy Sword.
Oh no, Bimmy and Jimmy at this is not a good juncture. This might actually cause might not cause immediate reset, though I wonder how much what the punches will be on for Kane and Palom, as those the Blizzard's not going to be the threat. Oh, well, that helps a lot, but we'll see the hits are. Oh no, that's back row. You have to remember the back row. Adamant armor provides 100 defense, and when you put in the back row, your defense doubles. So pretty much, probably we'll have to revive a few characters just to get the levels in. But yeah, this is technically a safe, but just for a brief moment, it's like, oh yeah, the Adamant armor saving Joe's butt. That's what it is.
Very much. There definitely is a oh no moment when you see that trap chest being a very challenging one to take on in normal situations. But Adamant Armor solves all of our problems and awards us that X-Scow, which very well could be what Judgejoe was looking for here with this trap chest hunt.
I mean, yeah, especially the LST chest, they're weighted higher for tier 8 stuff. It's the highest of all spots, obviously, because who wants to fight all these tougher? Who wants to fight Bimmy and Jimmy? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Do you want to fight Bimmy and Jimmy, the double dragon in Final Fantasy IV? That also a group in this league. So there, but this is the perfect place to spend that 1 hourglass to get Cecil online with and to take advantage of the life glitch while at it.
Definitely. So knowing now you have a good weapon for him, you want to get those levels on him so he can really start swinging for a lot of damage. And I think, as you kind of noted much earlier in the seed, is maybe you don't want to have Kain still wearing that adamant armor because, yeah, his very high agility will make anchoring situations difficult. This is a good opportunity to take that off, move it over to your paladin here, swinging around that X-Scal.
I'm not actually as concerned about the adamant armor now because this is the actual grind that Judgejoe's trying to perform. I mean, this is not having 10 key items is a downer, but this is kind of a good place to get the levels. And Cecil will be online. Relative to everything else, we're really under leveled for the LST. So having this kind of immediate infusion of levels will make any of the 2 required altar fights be much more manageable. So it's a very intelligent play by Joe to just to force a grind, get Slingshot Cecil immediately online. So this is a very smart play. And now it's the time where Kain doesn't have anything. It's the Cecil show now. Kain, you've been betrayed again.
Although Kain has served us very well to get us this far into seed, so appreciate for that. But yeah, definitely, you'll be taking a backseat now. You see the curse ring going on to him and the dwarf axe to slow him down. Well, penguin8r does make quick work there of that ruby in the sealed cave, so getting his darkness crystal and getting through that fairly tough boss fight. So good work on his side.
Yeah, so realizing from behind, just from picking up the key item, the darkness crystal, because not having a tele online, meaning no warp glitch, that is kind of immediate realization. Just gotta have to go. Time. There's no time like the present to speed through all of the sealed cave to go to the moon and start doing everything on the moon. So
importantly for penguin8r, though, with that darkness crystal in hand, that's known go mode, since he has already completed that cave Magnus, and so 2 altars waiting for him up there.
Yeah, with having done Baron, getting the harp, it changes penguin8r's thinking that just only have to do the 2 altars and on the Z. Don't really need to pass. Don't have basically you're on the moon and then to Z and call it a day. I thought it looks like there's going to be a small grind happening because there's still, kind of like Judgejoe just a moment ago, needs the levels on some of the other characters to speed up some of the boss fights, upcoming boss fights.
Definitely. So knows he's in go mode, but yeah, those can be some very tough locations to take on. And penguin8r feeling he does not have levels yet, knows he'll have to do a grind at some point anyway to take on Zeromus. So maybe let's get some experience before we find out maybe just how rude those bosses are up there. Although Judgejoe showing us the first boss there, Mylon and Friends, not proving too much of a challenge for him, although he has already gotten some grind done through that gold dragon fight, and getting a spoon. So I think, as you noted, though, this could be a big divergence here in our runners, as Judgejoe having not done Baron Castle, and thus not knowing where that Twin Harp is and Adamant Legend Sword is, could very well be incentivized to do this full clear here of the moon and having to take on some potentially very hard boss locations, even with all the power he has available to him. Could take quite a long time, where penguin8r, far less power available to him, but knows which fights he needs to take and nothing else.
I mean, it started from the divergence from the beginning, getting the magma key early and then kind of doing what it will at the same time, fading ordeals, not getting the warp is kind of the penalty, but that time was made up by just having the magma key that much earlier. Like sometimes having a certain key item earlier kind of buys you more time because the other racer has to actually do the same thing you just did. So it's what makes the in randomizer great, because Divergence allows for some interesting what ifs kind of interactions and everything that goes down with it, and sometimes sometimes stick to what they do. They know they want to do a certain thing in the order that they want, and sometimes it doesn't work out. Fading ordeals seems like a popular thing until, oh wait, the alt gauntlet is there. Those are decisions. You just make a decision to fade, and it's not immediately punishing. But the punishment was delayed, but not in the worst way, because Judgejoe did it early, but didn't have all the same kind of tools that penguin8r had. So just in routing alone, the mistakes that were made early in certain areas were made up in other areas. So it's not a straight not doing this is going to be the detriment. It's the kind of accumulation of all these other factors, and how the seed is kind of given us our key items and stuff. It makes a real significant difference in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I think definitely for everyone watching here, it's be aware of that whenever you're playing through your seeds on your own. So many different things can be going on. So don't ever feel like you're out at that race. Different things can be going on. Those different routing choices, those different items you stumble on can really be what make all of the difference. And we're seeing that here, right? This race, penguin8r missing out on that warp glitch, but actually might be helping him out there, as that pushed him towards that Baron early, which got him the Twin Harp, and thus now he knows exactly what he needs to do on the move. Judgejoe, though, did get that adamant, so depending on how far he has to search for that Legend Sword, could very well swing him back into a more leading position here, especially with all the power he has on hand.
I almost think that for Judgejoe to come back in this race, because penguin8r is set to do to the objectives and to power through, that both the Legend Sword and pass has to be literally at this spot. That's how tight this is.
Yeah, definitely. penguin8r, though, did crack one siren. We saw that, but that was the only one I believe he did down there. So he might still be looking at having to take on an additional grind here, where I believe also he was only at 9 key items there, so very well might be hoping to hit, or waiting to get to 10 key items, which he will do once he at least gets the crystal, and continue his grind. Or he might very well feel like he's at a comfortable spot for taking on that Zeromus. We'll have to see.
This is a pretty straightforward battle. When you have the dark elf is like Cecil food. It's like, where do I get my dragons? The dark elf. That's your answer. Although the first form is not a dragon, so that. But the second form, but both forms, he's extra weak to holy elemental. Though a little different between I forget which form absorbs the actual spell. So it's a cute behavior of how things work. And this is
we're at 3 adamant armors here for Judgejoe. Although it was just a power shirt and an adamant armor, so no access to that Legend Sword, and as you mentioned, pass are the things Judgejoe is really hoping to hit. Where penguin8r is down here now to the lower levels of the lunar subterrane, and will start taking on his bosses.
Shouldn't be too long, although swapping for that late Cecil, we're eating the Porm. Just interesting decision, because probably not wanting to get Porm all the way up. I mean, when you have like two spellcasters that can cast nuke, although it's undetermined whether it'd be worth getting Palom to nuke. I mean, Fu is instant nuke, so you have essentially 2 Zerkers, 1 healer, 1 nuker, and then Palom does something. It'd probably maybe be the one using Star Veil to reflect some nukes. It doesn't really matter what at that point.
that is a fight Judgejoe has found here at the Crystal Sword Altar in Dark Knight's Vessel, who that attack scales off the attack power, and that spot has extremely high attack power. So while it is possible for him to survive that with some low rolls, it is possible for him to throw out that elixir, heal up, and get 2 low rolls to survive. It's not likely, and we see Judgejoe, though, will be taking another attempt at it, it looks like here.
Probably should maybe lower down the battle speed a little bit. I'm not sure what the anchoring situation is. I think the Yang might have I'm sorry. Kane might have his adamant armor removed. It's kind of hard. It's hard to tell without having seen it as of late. So, but this is probably may something be to fade it, and probably rightfully so, as this is like not the fight you want to see. There are other spots of check, like at least in Judgejoe's eyes, like the cave value, the Murazame spot, the Pale Dim spot. So those are 2 options on the table. This is just really on the surface not a appealing spot, and looks like Kane will survive as whatever
enough HP to survive this last hit here for sure. So very nice play there by Judgejoe, recognizing Kane having that higher HP, that if he can get that first elixir off, then Kane will be able to survive the next 2 swings, each of those maxing out at, I think, 1100 damage, 1150, somewhere around that at this spot. So well done by him to get through that, and using Kane to life up Rosa just to get some extra experience on her, as I imagine he would like to get her HP levels a little higher for that Zeromus fight. Just a package as his key item reward. So we noted there's a few he's looking for, and that unfortunately is not one of them.
It is the 10th key item, so super XP time will commence very soon with an actual grind. But Joe is a little disappointed, not finding any sort of gating key item or the key item, the other part of Forge, and which is what makes this interesting. I mean, finding the heart obviously is the thing, and we know it's literally the thing Joe faded that is really the difference so far. I mean, it keeps looking at the objective screen and the key item screen to check what do I have and what haven't I done yet.
Yeah, what's still up and what do I need to get done. Penguin8r here also hitting that magic mark of 10 key items for double experience, and going ahead and doing a little more grinding here, thus taking on a gold dragon fight himself. And a second, it looks like here. So this is almost certainly I want to get to my Zeromus levels. Let's go and get that done now. It will make my last Masamune altar fight here also as easy as possible.
You fight the battle and then just go. You just don't even save. You go. that's how confident you can be. That especially with the double XP enabled, that spot, whatever it is. I think we do know what it is. I just have completely forgot what it was, but it should be.
That was his bow that was down there. Judgejoe took a handful of fights very quickly, so it was a little easy to mix those up. I think it was Val down there. And chat, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, so I mean, you have the Kane, so you already have the safeguard against Val anyway. So there's plenty of power. So definitely try to at least get Palom to level to learn Medio, and then learn Nuke after the Val fight. It's just as well. It's like there's not really in a rush to have Nuke for the fight. I mean, you could, and it's fine otherwise. But like you want to try to measure out like how much do I. If I don't actually have the spell, I have to have that spell after that fight guaranteed.
And there's delayed adamant number 4 for Judgejoe. It's definitely worth calling out the very, very large discrepancy here in items both these 2 runners pick up. Judgejoe has 3 adamant armors in hand and a 4th available to him if he would like to swing by, where Penguin8r has found 0 of these adamant armors, and I don't think he's found also a holy sword here for his paladin.
That's gonna be reflex strats at this point. Just let both Kane and Cecil take a easy time on the rest of the seed, and let the spellcasters do the thing. Cast just do reflect strats. You have 3 spellcasters. Why not use them to their full potential? I don't. So that offsets the need for finding a Cecil weapon, and which makes sense at this point in time.
Yep, and so we'll see if that's Penguin8r's plan. I think a big tell will be here. If this fight does get him to those levels, he likely was looking at his levels and the experience he has less available to him. And we'll see once he takes this fight on, should be able to tackle it. If his plan is to do any more grinding, or is he happy to go ahead and take on Zeromus. Judgejoe planning here in Cave Value, a free fight, the King Queen Eblan.
I mean, we could see Joe go aggressively. It's not like there's a lot of HP this spot. I mean, relative to a lot of boss spots on the moon, this is not a threat. But still have to go through the sequence and then have to watch them kind of disappear into the ether, into the Hades, to wherever they decide to go on the moon. I mean, so that's fine. But the special part of this,
that place seems neat.
the special thing about this particular fight is that when the king disappears, the queen, as soon as she finds herself alone, then she disappears. So, but the king takes a while to go through whatever sequence before he decides to disappear. And Pan will just be another hunt. So maybe Judgejoe will stumble onto the Legend Sword from hitting Yang with the Pan, because that is basically what he needs immediately.
There is effectively the 2 item checks here, though, as the sylphs themselves will get you a key item check, and then they turn into Sheila of the Penguin8r other. So it is still possible for that Pan Legend Sword check we were talking about. So hitting both of those will be big for Judgejoe, and almost certainly what he needs, as we see Penguin8r here taking on his last fight, and we'll have the crystal in hand very shortly.
The thing
now, if you got the Legend Sword from the sylphs, do you talk to Sheila too? See if you get that pass.
You need the pass, because right now, because
we know that, but does Judgejoe know that?
It is a feels bad moment. Yeah. I mean, it's a free key item check, so you might as well, like, on your way to before going to the moon, you might as well do that on the way up. So if you get the Legend Sword, you do forge, and then you talk to her on the way up. That would be a nice best case scenario. The worst case scenario could be that you still have to travel back down. Like, you know, maybe she has the sword and Yang has the other things. So it's kind of one of those. Will it be there? Will it not be there? And then there's also Earth Crystal at large. Yeah. And we found the pass.
There's the pass. Step Lively pointing out that actually one of these does have to be the Earth Crystal. That is a chain item, and so in order to find everything, Judgejoe doesn't know this, but from everything we've seen, the Earth Crystal does have to be here as to give us access to all of the key items in the seed.
Yeah, that's also more time consumed.
Yeah.
And although the Baron check would then look a lot more appealing at this point. Earth Crystal and Baron are both somewhat kind of longish checks, and Earth Crystal has the fact it dumps you outside of Baron after you finish it, which might very well push Judgejoe towards doing that one first. That does guarantee. And
Penguin8r is through the Val fight, and that's what we're completing his 6th objective here, which earns him a crystal. To chat, the Odin spot was checked. That was the rat tail, which led us to some Artemis arrows, which I do believe is the best thing Penguin8r has for his paladin there. That samurai bow we picked up right at the start of the game, and those Artemis arrows.
Definitely not going to see that in action on the fight. You have a mage party. You're good.
He's going ahead and taking a save here, as well as I'm not sure he got the levels he needed to learn Nuke there on Paladin.
Doesn't matter. The walk is happening. It doesn't matter. It's that time. It's that time of the night that we talk about sleeping, right? It's 12 a.m. So 12:30 a.m. Eastern.
Late night race. So yes, sleeping does seem like a good idea. Chat, thoughts? Sleeping? Thank you, Step Lively. Sleeping it is. Oh, it was good joining everyone for this race, though. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get some rest.
And see, while my commentators said they want to go rest, what I'm going to do, as was mentioned in chat, it is my 37th birthday. I am going to be the one who's actually going to ask the question. Zeromus, too big, too bad. Can't throw him anywhere because Big Bang, no matter where the heck you are, that's absolutely a problem no matter what. So with the Nyan 600 sprites, most of them done by the absolutely fantastic art wizard that is Scala-Kitty, Zeromus, we don't move where he is, we change what he looks like between popular pop culture, other video games, even based on previous Free Enterprise tournament winners and finalists, and sprites as for some of the people who are in this restream team, as a matter of fact, can get in. You join in, you can even get a sprite too, depending on how it is. But while we have Judgejoe chasing the Earth Crystal, we have a crystal being thrown on penguin8r's side, whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
And a big happy birthday to you. So whose butt are we going to be kicking tonight? Is it cute? Does it have a hat? Is it its birthday? That might be a new one here.
We have to ask the questions. You need to. We demand to know the answers. That's Z questions must be answered. That's just not just for us. Z has to answer questions too.
Yeah, that one's cute. I like this one.
I
This is
love Earthbound. Arguably one of my
Earthbound.
favorite SNES RPGs.
fun. Without a doubt, an incredible game for sure, and happy to see it's represented here in Free Enterprise. And as always, just incredible artwork here on these sprites.
Yeah. Yeah. As if I were playing a different game. Earthbound is an incredible game. It's such a wild game as well. I've never. It does a lot of kind of things that I think early game Undertale, like just kind of out of just incredible imaginary things that you just don't see in an RPG. But yes, you do need a Tessie. That's the answer to everything. We need a Tessie.
And Judgejoe has found his edge, which he bought his ninja swords for. So there he is in the seed, as expected. But Judgejoe, as we did believe, Earth Crystal was the reward here, and he is chasing that. Well, we have penguin8r here. Does look like having his fighters swinging here. Came swinging a spear. To believe Cecil yet using that bow, doing his damage. So we are at least seeing, if not hybrid strats, at least some sort of strats. And no, there's a new come now. So indeed, hybrid strats.
Yeah, it's straight hybrid. I mean, not having nuke Unpalm would immediately cause reflex strats to be in force. But you don't. That's a gamble. Didn't happen. That's fine. It's not like it would make this fight that much different. I mean, it'll look different, but it'll still do damage. And looks like that was an interesting quake to cause the Big Bang to reset. I think that was the goal of that hit.
Yeah, looks like it was indeed after a shake, so could be penguin8r here's attempting to nerf the second Big Bang as well, as his HP pools, at least on some of those mages, are not all that high, so wanting to make sure he's very safe here in this fight. One attempt to nerf the Big Bangs, and successfully done so. We see less than 1,000 damage come out on everyone.
Yeah, I mean the max damage on a nerfed Big Bang is 1,200. That's if you have no armor, you're nude, and you have all the worst hits. But when you see a 3-digit damage, you've successfully done the nerf, and that's always a good sign. So, it's always good to practice that, especially in Z fights where sometimes you get when that second Big Bang comes out, it will take down more than one character unceremoniously.
Without a doubt, those are very painful not being nerfed, so being able to avoid a large chunk of damage here, eating the black hole there to remove his berserks and his wall, but reapplying that wall and starting up, it looks like, some reflecting.
Looks like Joe did find the legend sword directly from the Earth Crystal, so that is finally Joe's go mode. Still, well, I'm sure we'll find out what that weapon is. Maybe it's probably Abel's Lance, because but there are other weapons like that.
It does look like penguin8r threw out that unicorn strat to stop his circus from going, and has now moved into this pure reflect strategies here. So if he was counting that HP and recognized he had not hit the HP refill yet at this point, he still has the opportunity to only throw reflects or reflected spells and still get that done. So that might be what we're seeing here.
Unfortunately, the timing of it did not get a Big Bang nerf off, which is unfortunate because Big Bangs, when unchecked, can go up to 2,700, and those are numbers that only high leveled, fully healed characters go through, and doesn't take much to wipe Palom.
As we know, penguin8r does not have access to all those adamant armors, which would make this fight much, much safer for him. For even though you can high roll up to that 2,700, the amount of magic evade you have means that's far less likely to occur. So Judgejoe does now have his crystal in hand by completing a different set of objectives and the pass here. So he is also heading towards his Zeromus after looks a little more grind. Although that looks like shake and a crumble. I think we have a GG here to penguin8r with a finish time of 1:22:09. GG's to penguin8r. Well done. That was definitely not a free fight for him to take on. So well done to get through that quickly and safely. And I hear a ding there. I think we are joined by penguin8r. GG's. Potentially joined by penguin8r.
GG's again, penguin8r. Don't think you have said anything quite yet.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, my audio was hissing for a second.
Problem. Well done. GG's. Well played by you. We're just noting the nice strategy there on taking on that Zeromus. I suppose starting just with that at the end of the fight there, was that your plan? I suppose your plan there from whence you headed to the moon and you saw your vessel. What were you kind of thinking to get through the end of the seed and take on that Zeromus? I do believe he might have actually just lost penguin8r. We'll see if he rejoins here. While we are waiting for that, though, Judgejoe is heading on to take on Zeromus, and we'll see which approach he uses. He does have access to those adamant armors. He does have access to an X-Gal. Might just be a straight-up Circ strat. Might be hybrid strats. We'll have to see how he chooses to go through this fight.
Surprising, between both fights, we have one with no adamant armors and the other one with 3. You would think that if you picked up at least one, everything would speed up, but that's what routing choices are like. And welcome back, penguin8r.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Audio was dropping for a second, but I can hear you now.
All right, great. Well, GG's again. We're just saying well done on your Zeromus fight there to take that in a quick fashion.
I spoke too soon.
Well, all right. I think we might be rejoined shortly by penguin8r here. Let's see if we can get those audio issues fixed and see if we can have an interview.
It might be fortunate that the Supersmith item is actually Gigantic X doesn't provide any agility bonus. Only Able Slams does out of the set that Kane has. I think the piggy stick is also part of that. So that helps a lot with the agility manipulation because you don't want Kane's agility to increase dramatically. With Able Slams gives it's like 15 to strength, agility, and also vitality. So that's which is the problematic part. You don't want that agility to skew the other characters, especially the twin mages that we have on the screen. So including Rosa, they'll all be kind of trailing behind in Kane in a significant way if that was not the weapon, the Able Slam. So it's fortunate.
Although admin armors does make a lot of those agility anchoring issues a lot easier to work around. So
yeah, even with this party, you might want to, if you want to use the adamant armor on Porum, it makes sense. But if you want true safety, just keep it on Rosa, and you'll be fine. I don't think
Fortunately, you have 3 to pass around.
Yeah, that's one more than you usually want, right? It's it's more like 2 more, but this is gonna go pretty fast as the Zerking will commence. Porm certainly not having enough levels, and welcome back, penguin8r. Give him a moment.
Yeah, we'll see if penguin8r's gotten any success here on his audio, as Judgejoe is showing us though those big damage numbers there.
I
with the
think I can hear you now, but I'm hoping I'm not going to drop again.
All right, well, definitely. Well, we still have you. Want to say GG's, well done in that race. Definitely very interesting, fun to watch. You end up going through that fairly different in different ways, but you are still here. We were somewhat interested in just kind of noting how you went about your Z fight was very well done. So what was kind of your thoughts on just, as you finally did get that Darkness Crystal in hand, how you were going to tackle the end of the seed? Fortunately, we might have lost penguin8r again.
Well, Joe's reached Rock's phase, so this is not too long. His fight will conclude soon. Oh, and
there's a shake and a crumb. Well done. So yeah, definitely fairly safe there with those adamant armors, those rocks. You have very high stats, likely able to dodge that, as we saw multiple characters do, or even with that 1000 HP, they should all be fine. And so Judgejoe quickly taking down that with a circ set of strategies here. His 2 fighters swinging for 5k apiece, make quick workers from this.
Yep, it's nice when you have all the adamant armors. It's a comfy fight. It's hard.
They're
like
a pretty good item. It's true.
Yep. Just remember that big bangs don't. Adamant armors don't cure full damage big bangs. You still have to have HP to survive that. if things don't roll your way.
Without a doubt, big bang. Zeromus, whatever gear you have, is never going to be an entirely free fight. You need to be somewhat concerned every time you are tackling that. And you can see very scary things, even with some of that best gear. A big bang immediately followed by a meteor. Even if the odds are, yeah, you should dodge it 80% of the time, sometimes you don't. And that's can be 3k points of damage before any heal comes in and quickly wipe out any party at any level you'd see in these types of flag sets. And we do have a ding here. I think that might be Judgejoe joining us. Judgejoe.
GG's, Judgejoe.
Thank you. It was a fun seed.
For sure. Well, definitely. GG's, well done to you. Definitely some different routing there between you and penguin8r, which we think made some big difference in that. So I think it'll be a fun seed to rewatch. But I guess any kind of immediate.
I also am not hearing you guys for some reason.
Huh.
Interesting.
I'm now wondering if this is on our end. Okay.
Yes. I heard Deathlike briefly, and then I heard nothing after that.
Okay. It must be interesting connection.
And now I can hear Deathlike again.
Interesting connection issues. It could be Discord acting up. Who knows? It's the mystery of restreaming.
Look, I don't want to conduct the interviews, but I will if I have to. But no, it sounds like you can hear at least Deathlike at least.
Okay. I guess I'll ask a quick question. So how about all those adamant armors, Joe? You could have had a fourth adamant armor, but you had plenty to toss around.
I did not want that pink tail. That was not what I wanted. I didn't even really care about the adamant armor in the ribbon room. That adamant armor from the Assure fight was great. It let me have adamant palm, although I forgot to heal MP for the Mega Sisters. But yeah, outside of those first 2, they were just neat. I think it allowed Rosa to completely dodge a nuke, though, which that was fun.
definitely a good time when you see a nuke disappear. You see the animation, but it's like, wait, I see red flashes. That's it. That's a good time. So I think you the chase to find the last objective. It's always where is my last objective, and I think, and obviously both you and penguin8r literally completely different routing. I'm sure when you watch the tape, you'll see how dramatically different and the whole experience was.
I can just, based on how I completed every check available to me from the moon, I can tell exactly where I went wrong in the seed, and that was where I took a turn right from Baron and went to the moon.
Yeah, we know that the Twin Harp was at the Baron pot. Yes, you didn't have to go all the way to the Odin spot. No, just the Baron pot. That was the difference. Obviously, if you stumbled onto that, the seed had been yours. But that's it. Only takes one decision to make the difference, and
that's the dangers of making that fade. So my thought process with the moon, once I got the darkness from Luca, or from the warp glitch, I knew the Luca cave objective was somewhere on Earth. So that meant I cannot go to the moon until I have the Luca key. So I go and do my checks, I get the Luca key and do that. At this point, I have Sheila and Baron, I decide to do Sheila. I was very nervous about it just sitting in those 2 moon objectives or in that ribbon room right next door, and I decided to go moon and fade Baron because I was worried about someone doing a little bit of an earlier moon.
Yeah, it's one of those times where sometimes there are more options on the moon. I mean, just like there's 5 spots, 2 required, so and those are like 5 spots. You had
there's 7 key item checks.
Yeah, so you had plenty of checks, and the Baron check, there's only 2 key items to worry about. So that made the decision kind of, lopsided in the favor of the LST. But sometimes it's the closest checks that you don't do that make the difference. But I think for the bulk of the race, I think you were doing pretty well. You had the warp glitch going. penguin8r didn't actually do Mount Ordeals as early as you did, and I'm sure that Mount Ordeals was a lot of fun with a cane, no J items, not even Blizzard just spear magic. The Blizzard spear, flame spear.
I ran in and I saw the gauntlet and saw my inventory and went, so this is literally whole day. I have to do it. I didn't save before the first spot. I didn't save before the second spot. I didn't save before the third spot on Ordeals, so I literally had to do it, which meant just whole day. I may or may not have asked a sibling to whole day so I could get a drink for a second.
There is no shame in saying hold A to win. There is no shame. It just happened to be that way. Of course, you couldn't just buy J items. If you bought J items, they wouldn't have done any of the work. So it's one of those. Your opponent had to do this kind of the same thing. So it's not like there's no shame. He did it faster because he had more levels, but you did it at the time you did it. There was no other. What were your options? You had none.
Yeah. For potentially a bomb, if I had checked the shop and had bombs, that might have been enough for the zombies and undead weak to fire, but Thor Rages would not have worked. And you can't buy any of the larger J items that are good enough to get through those waves, so pretty much, yeah. Even a Blizzard Spear would take multiple shots, but probably faster. It's just not the fight you want with the character.
Would it have been more thought to doing a little more looting to get the J items, or just obviously, the randomizer as it may, put you in a situation where you, in a suboptimal situation where you don't have the items, the gear, just the tools to make things go faster.
I wondered if a little more looting would have helped, but any of the fire ones don't kill the souls, so that's a decent chunk out. And then after that, you're relying on a bunch of random tier 4 or 5, which there's a lot of those items in the pool. So just looting them off the ground is just, you can't guarantee anything. And then also after that early looting, I had a power staff, I had a Gungnir spear. You just go.
Right, and then it definitely showed for the the fights in Baron Inn, where it just made let Berserk Kane do work. With that early gear Gungnir spear, yeah, that is the ideal speed way to doing it. It's just couldn't have been better. Any thoughts on the seed before we let you go, Joe?
I was pretty happy overall. I cleared 24 out of the 28 checks in under an hour 30. The checks I had left were fast, so I was happy with my time. GG's to penguin8r was definitely a fun race, and glad I got to do it.
Yep, GG's to you. GG's again, Joe. That was an exciting race. It was completely divergent. Again, worth the watch, because I mean, you guys did totally different things and had totally different outcomes, and that's what makes the racing interesting.
All right, thanks. Big thanks there to.
Yeah, thanks again to everyone on Restream for putting this on. I will definitely go and watch it back, and have a good night, everyone.
I think I heard a small echo. penguin8r has rejoined us, hoping this is better at this moment.
Howdy, yeah, I can hear you, Deathlake. I'm not sure if I can hear Klopfer. I think same issue that Joe had.
Klopfer, go ahead.
I do believe I cannot be heard by either of them. penguin8r, are you able to hear me this time?
I'm not hearing anything, by the way.
I'm sure it's Discord at work. Please remember to rate your Discord's performance after this meeting.
Well, if Klopper has any questions, I'd like just transfer him over for him. I mean, we've had to do worse things for restreams. Believe me, I've got stories to tell you people if you want.
I'm sure the stories are just like Baron Waterfall, that they can forever. It's forever flowing. So penguin8r, I think your race was completely different. I mean, they diverged pretty early, which surprisingly, and kind of showed in multiple ways. I guess let's start with the point where you realized, oh wait, I don't have warp. Once after doing Dwarf Castle.
Yeah, I realized right as I was finishing up the Golbus fight, especially with the Golbus there, it's just too much time invested there to reset and do it again. So I knew I was committed to that. It's a small consolation that the sealed cave was an objective, so it did make sense to still do it anyway. But I was not feeling good after missing that, because that warp glitch, you're jumping ahead key items, so it's usually a pretty big advantage to be able to pick that one up.
I mean, that happened to be vanilla darkness crystal, so I'm sure that was a bonus. Once you realize you picked it up, it's like the time is, your time is near. Or at least you realize you're behind.
Yeah, on the one hand, I knew I had done some overworld stuff that I didn't necessarily have to do, and so it felt bad that I hadn't gone to the moon earlier. But at the same time, it was, I think, better that the darkness crystal is there, rather than having to worry about hunting for the Luca key on the moon.
I mean, your that also your fight summed up interestingly. Like you went to, so obviously you went to Mount Rydia's late, and obviously stumbled onto the alt gauntlet, and realizing what you did much later than your opponent did it much earlier, and the fight being as it is. What was the feeling that you had once you started that fight?
I very nearly reset out of it because I only got an hourglass, I think, as the reward. But fortunately, I stuck around to see the boss and saw that it was an objective. I'll usually buy the bombs if I run into them, but I don't think I checked all the shops at that point and hadn't seen them. So I didn't have that many multi-target items. I think I had Grimoire and a firebomb. I knew I was okay. Just Kane was very strong at that point just to do fight commands. But I think I used one Grimoire. I always forget whether the full zombie dance party with the 7 zombies is in there. So I was holding the firebomb for that, but turns out when it's inside the shrine, that fight's not there. So I think it just held and didn't actually use the firebomb.
Yep.
But yeah, it takes a while, but it's an objective. You got to do it. And once you're there, you're better off just committing to it.
I think the zombie dance party you're referring to is the back attack side. That's where it happens. But yeah, I remember. I know that what you're talking about, and it's that's something. So you didn't really find anything for that Cecil. I mean, you picked up the Cecil late. Any particular reason you wanted that Cecil late? I mean, you needed Porum for that reason, and I think you were trying to kind of construct a full mage party at least at that time going.
So I had sort of even considered taking Sid. I had dropped him earlier, but I considered going back to pick him up because at that point Porum just was. I mean, she just extra of what I already had. I had white mages, Rosa and Fusoya, and it's just really not that useful to have her on top of that. They pretty much got everything covered that I need there. And even if I went full mage, having a second white mage when I have 2 black mages, it doesn't actually help for Zeromus. Like you get maybe 1 white in, it maybe saves you like 10 seconds. I'm not even sure if it does. But at that point, I didn't want to level all the way to nuke anyway.
Fair enough. I mean, white does take a bit of time, so when you have Rosa being your dedicated white mage, it makes sense. You want to nuke the boss. That's the answer to everything. So any other thoughts regarding the seed before you go? This race was pretty incredible.
Definitely felt behind from a few things early. I had that. I don't know how it showed up on screen, but my console crashed at Mount Hobbs at the beginning, and then the whole run, my TV was flickering slightly, so I was saving probably twice as much as I usually do because I was afraid I was going to get another crash. So I'm glad that didn't happen again, and don't think I played all that well, but I guess got a bit lucky with the routing. I'm glad I could do the unicorn at the end, even though it didn't really matter because it was same time as the black hole.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did see it, and it was unfortunate. But I mean, you did at least save, so that didn't have to do major sequences again. So that worked out. So GG's again, penguin8r. That was a good race, and that was a lot of fun. It looked like a lot of fun just to see what went on. They're just so divergent in both your routing that it definitely created a very interesting experience in routing.
All right, thanks a bunch, and I appreciate everyone coming out for the restream on the late night race.
And leave it to you, Glopper, to some of what we have for the night.
Well, first of all, big thanks to everyone for tuning in for tonight's race and sticking with us through some of the technical difficulties there. I'm very glad we could get you those two interviews with both our extremely talented runners who put on a great race for us tonight. So do please make sure to give them a follow if you want to see some more great free enterprise play, as you saw tonight. Just an excellent, exciting race for us there. As well as I do want to, of course, give a big thanks to our restreamer here at Deathis, on who we wouldn't have been able to see any of this amazing race, and to Step Lively, who was pushing all the buttons there on the tracker so we knew what was going on, and very active in chat, helping us keep on top of what was going on. So big thanks to both of them as well. And for the rest of you, if you're interested in watching some more Free Enterprise, good news, we do have not any more tonight. This was a late race, so we're closing up for tonight. But we do have one more excellent race for you tomorrow. Please tune into that. We have Mole Boy versus Rex Rawl tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Free Enterprise channels. Do please check in for that. And finally, a big thanks to you, Death Lake, for joining me for this commentary. It was a lot of fun. It was a great race, and I had a good time doing this with you.
A lot of fun. They're just so they're. I mean, any day, anytime, it's a good time. So, have a good night, everyone, or good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and hope to see you all soon. Just don't spoil the race because newspapers will be flying.